The USS Nautilus, SSN 571, the world's first operational nuclear-powered submarine, holds a legendary place in naval history, not just for its technological advancements but also for its transformative impact on submarine warfare. Launched in 1954 and commissioned into the U.S. Navy in 1955, the Nautilus was a bold leap into a new era of military strategy, signaling a shift from diesel-electric to nuclear propulsion, granting submarines unprecedented endurance, stealth, and global reach. Even decades after it was retired from active service in 1980, the USS Nautilus remains a symbol of innovation, Cold War strategy, and American naval dominance. The submarine's genesis can be traced back to the post-World War II period when the U.S. Navy recognized the limitations of conventional submarines. Diesel-electric subs, while effective, were restricted by their need to surface or snorkel regularly to recharge batteries. This made them vulnerable to detection and attack. The advent of nuclear propulsion, developed through the collaboration between the Navy and the Atomic Energy Commission under Admiral Hyman G. Rickover, offered a solution that would revolutionize underwater warfare. Rickover's vision and engineering rigor led to the creation of a reactor small enough to be installed in a submarine, giving birth to the nuclear navy and to the Nautilus. When the Nautilus first put to sea in January 1955, it marked a watershed moment. With the historic transmission underway on nuclear power, the era of nuclear propulsion had officially begun. The submarine's capabilities were immediately evident. It could travel at high speed submerged for unlimited durations, limited only by food supplies and crew endurance, freeing it from the vulnerabilities of surfacing. This endurance allowed for a fundamentally different approach to submarine tactics and strategy. It meant stealthier, longer patrols, greater operational ranges, and the ability to strike anywhere on the globe with little warning. Throughout its career, the USS Nautilus broke record after record. In 1958, it undertook one of the most daring missions of the Cold War, Operation Sunshine. Ordered to navigate under the polar ice cap, Nautilus became the first vessel to reach the North Pole submerged, passing beneath the Arctic ice on August 3, 1958. This mission was not just a feat of engineering and navigation, it was a geopolitical message to the Soviet Union. At the height of Cold War tensions, it demonstrated that the United States could deploy its nuclear submarines virtually anywhere, including beneath the polar regions once considered impassable. It also laid the groundwork for future strategic deterrent patrols and under-ice operations by the U.S. Navy's submarine fleet. The design of the Nautilus combined conventional submarine layout with revolutionary internal components. At 319 feet long and displacing over 4,000 tons submerged, it was larger than previous submarines. The reactor, a pressurized water reactor developed by Westinghouse, powered steam turbines that turned the submarine's propeller. This system provided continuous power without the need for air or frequent refueling. In fact, the reactor core could operate for years before requiring replacement, giving the vessel unmatched operational longevity. Life aboard the Nautilus was markedly different from earlier submarines. The crew no longer had to endure the constant cycle of diving and surfacing. Instead, they experienced extended submerged operations, making the submarine less vulnerable to detection. The ship's operations became a proving ground for extended undersea warfare, helping the Navy develop the protocols and technologies needed for future nuclear-powered submarines. Many of the strategies, designs, and crew management techniques used in the Nautilus became standard across the nuclear fleet. Beyond its military achievements, the Nautilus also had a profound influence on submarine development globally. Its success catalyzed a naval arms race with the Soviet Union, which scrambled to develop its own nuclear-powered submarines. The introduction of the Nautilus effectively made all diesel-electric submarines obsolete for strategic missions. The Soviet response would later come in the form of boats like the November-class submarines, but the United States had already taken a decisive lead in undersea nuclear technology, ensuring a technological and strategic advantage for years. As new classes of submarines were introduced, such as the Skipjack, Thresher, and Los Angeles-class boats, the USS Nautilus began to be phased out of frontline service. Yet its role as a testbed and a pioneer continued to be invaluable. It served in various training and experimental capacities, helping to refine sonar, weapons systems, and under-ice navigation techniques. The Nautilus's legacy also lives on in the U.S. Navy's commitment to a nuclear-powered fleet, which continues to this day with the Virginia and Columbia-class submarines. After nearly 26 years of service and having traveled over 500,000 nautical miles, the USS Nautilus was decommissioned in 1980. But rather than fade into obscurity, it was preserved as a museum ship. Today, it rests at the Submarine Force Library and Museum in Groton, Connecticut, where visitors can walk through its compartments and get a sense of the conditions under which her crew lived and worked. The Nautilus continues to inspire generations of engineers, sailors, and military historians. The story of the USS Nautilus is not just a tale of technological triumph but also a reflection of the geopolitical realities of the 20th century. Her creation and deployment were driven by the imperatives of the Cold War, a period of intense rivalry between nuclear superpowers, where strategic deterrence and rapid technological advancement were critical. The Nautilus was more than a ship, it was a statement of intent, a signal that the U.S. Navy was ready to lead in a new domain of warfare. In many ways, the principles established by the USS Nautilus still guide submarine design and operations. The emphasis on endurance, stealth, and nuclear propulsion became the foundation for all future submarine platforms. Her success also cemented the importance of undersea warfare in maintaining strategic balance and deterrence. Submarines were no longer just coastal defenders or reconnaissance platforms, they became key components of nuclear deterrence through ballistic missile submarines and stealthy attack boats. Modern submarines, with their advanced reactors, quieting technologies, and sophisticated weapons systems, owe much